Daniel stood frozen at the window, his breath fogging up the cold glass. Outside, the street was quiet, too quiet. The lamps hummed with their dull orange glow, and the night pressed down like a weight. "He's back," Daniel whispered, his voice almost inaudible. Sophie turned from the couch where she had been hugging her knees, trying to convince herself that everything was fine. Her face paled. "What do you mean he's back?" Daniel didn't move away from the window. His eyes flicked rapidly, scanning the shadows as though something, or someone, was moving just beyond sight. "It's him, Ethan, but—" "He's not all right." Sophie stood, her legs trembling. "What are you talking about? Ethan's been gone for weeks. You saw the police reports. He couldn't have survived." Daniel finally turned toward her. His face was ashen, his lips dry. "I saw him, just now. Across the street. He's watching us." A silence thickened between them, broken only by the ticking of the old clock on the wall. Sophie swallowed hard. "That's impossible." But then the front gate creaked. Both of them flinched. Daniel backed away from the window. "He's coming." The knock on the door was soft at first. Almost polite. Tap, tap, tap. Sophie shook her head violently. "Don't open it." "Please, Daniel." "Don't." But Daniel didn't need the warning. He had no intention of opening the door. Instead, he whispered, "He's scanning us." Sophie's heart skipped. "What?" "His eyes," Daniel said, his voice trembling. "They're not his. He's looking for something. Or someone." Another knock. Harder this time. Thud. 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 Sophie clutched Daniel's arm. "Why would he come back like this?" "Because he's not himself anymore." The door creaked. Not from the outside, but from the lock, twisting on its own. Daniel lunged forward, forcing the bolt back into place, his body pressing against the wood as though his weight could keep the nightmare out. But then a voice came. Low. Familiar. "Daniel?" "Sophie." Sophie's breath hitched. "It's him," she whispered. "No," Daniel hissed. "It sounds like him, but it's not." The voice grew sharper, strained, like something struggling to mimic human words. "Let me in, please." "It's cold out here." Sophie's tears blurred her vision. "Ethan," she whispered, half in hope, half in despair, and then silence. The knock stopped. The voice faded. The house held its breath. But when Daniel cautiously turned toward the window again, he saw him. Ethan, standing in the yard, his head tilted at an unnatural angle, his lips curled into a smile that was too wide, too empty. Sophie gasped. "Oh, no." Ethan's eyes locked on hers through the glass. And in that instant, Sophie knew. Daniel had been right. Whatever had come back wearing Ethan's face was not her brother anymore. "Please," Sophie whispered, pressing her palm to the window. "Please don't do this." The figure outside didn't respond. He only tilted his head further, as if studying her. Daniel pulled her away. "We have to leave, now." But as they turned toward the back door, the lights flickered. One by one, every bulb in the house sputtered and went out, plunging them into darkness. A scraping sound came from the front door. The slow, deliberate drag of fingernails against wood. Scratch. Scratch. Sophie whimpered. Daniel grabbed a flashlight from the shelf, its weak beam cutting through the black. They moved toward the kitchen, footsteps trembling on the wooden floorboards. And then, the sound stopped. The silence was worse than the noise. Suddenly, a whisper slithered through the dark, close, too close. "Please." Sophie spun around, the flashlight beam jerking wildly across the walls. For a moment, the light caught him, standing inside the house. Ethan's figure was pale, gaunt, his skin stretched too tight across his bones. His eyes glowed faintly, not with life, but with something hollow, something hungry. Sophie's breath came in shallow gasps. "Ethan!" "Not Ethan!" Daniel barked, pulling her behind him. The thing smiled, its teeth too sharp, too many. "Why are you afraid?" "It's me." Daniel raised the flashlight like a weapon. "Stay back." But the creature only took a step forward, its movements jerky and unnatural. "I came back for you." The air grew heavy, pressing on their lungs. Sophie's knees buckled as the thing drew closer. She wanted to run, to scream, but her body refused. Daniel grabbed her wrist and yanked her toward the back door. They stumbled through the kitchen, fumbling with the lock, the creature's footsteps echoing behind them. At last, the door gave way. Cold night air rushed in. They sprinted into the yard, not daring to look back. But just as they reached the gate, Sophie made the mistake of glancing over her shoulder. Ethan. No, the thing inside Ethan stood in the doorway, watching them. Its grin stretched impossibly wide now, splitting its face. And then it spoke, in a voice that was both Ethan's and not. "You can run, but I'll always find you." The gate slammed shut behind them, as if by invisible hands. The night swallowed their screams. Weeks later, Sophie sat alone in a sterile police interview room. Her hands shook as she clutched a paper cup of water, staring at the officers across the table. "You expect us to believe," one officer said slowly, "that your brother came back from the dead?" Sophie's eyes filled with tears. It wasn't him. It looked like him, but it wasn't. Daniel saw it too. "Ask him." The officer's face darkened. "Daniel?" He leaned forward. "Miss, when the neighbors found you running in the street, you were alone. There was no Daniel. No evidence anyone else was there. And your brother Ethan?" He slid a photo across the table. A photo of a gravestone. "Has been buried for months." Sophie's mouth went dry. No, Daniel was with me. He saved me." The officer shook his head. "We found no footprints but yours." In the corner of the room, the security camera blinked its tiny red light. Sophie looked up at it, her reflection caught in the glass lens. And for just a second, only a second, her reflection smiled back at her. Not her smile. Ethan's.